is a 1984 as a dystopian novel. This is my personal information. Introduction. The world of pessimism, control of domination is the most despised world to live in. George Orwell is famous for creating such a world in his novel 1984. This dystopian novel creates a sense of warning to the readers who consider this novel as a prophecy of the future. This post-war novel consisted of elements that divided the world into different realms of the constant fight with a realm of technology. The novel presents a protest against to the totalitarian abuse from the Big Brother. About the author, George Orwell was an author of the 20th century. He is famous for his polemical journalism and his criticism of totalitarianism. His opposition of totalitarianism and the support for a democratic socialism gets reflected on his writing. George Orwell, in his essay "Why I Am Right", wrote this line: "Every line of serious work that I have written since 1936 has been written directly and indirectly against totalitarianism and for the democratic socialism as I understand." Some of his work is written about the satire, utopia, and dystopia. 1984 is a dystopian novel which deals in the post-World War. This world is divided into spheres where everything is controlled by the superpower and the ruling class. In this novel, 1984, we seen the example of Big Brothers. What is dystopia? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, it is dystopia, a word very bad or unfair society in which there is a lot of suffering, especially an imaginary society in the future. Sometimes something terrible has happened, a description of such a society. Dystopian literature is from a speculative fiction that began as a response to the utopian literature. A dystopia is an immense community or society that is dehumanizing or frightening. A dystopia is an antony of a utopia, which is a perfect society. What is the defines the dystopian novel? While utopian novel shows what is the perfect society and could look like, dystopian novel discuss the hypothetical societies and show the opposite. Dystopian are societies rife with a problem like mass property, large-scale crime, oppression, and surveillance. Dystopian fiction offer a vision of the future. Dystopias are society in a catalytic decline with characters who battle environment, ruin, technological control, and government depressions. Dystopian novel can challenge the reader to think differently about the correct social and political climate, and some instances can even inspire action. The characteristic of the dystopian fiction, the central theme of the novel, and the generally fall under this topic. First, the government control, environment destruction, technological control, survival, and loss of individualism. So now the topic has come. Okay, why 1984 is a dystopia? The dystopian novel explores the effect of oppression and totalitarianism in the individual psyche as well as how the individual fictional is a representative society. Winston Trouble, the literally the trusting in his memories illustrate the way of the party has corrupted his emotional life as well as his daily existence, asking the reader to question the nature of memory and individual consciousness by suggesting the Whitson is inherently complete because he can't remember whatever he or not his life was better to was hyper before the revolution. The book examined the importance of memory and creating a sense of itself. The dystopia is the place where people are not treated well and fairly, therefore making be a place where are full of fear and unhappiness. Dystopia is the total opposite of the utopia, is the discussed earlier on. George Orwell warns to how to greed and high power can lead to torching of an individual humanity. According to George Orwell novel, Oceania is divided especially three classes. One is inner party, outer party, and third is the proles. The first three classes, the inner party is ruling class, since are generally controlled to the third police, plus plus it maintain all the outer party members to be under control, close supervision, and this was mainly achieved through the advanced technological as the telescreen, while on the hand, the trolls were put in living the relative depression condition, but the funny thing is that they were not being monitored as the outer party member, and these all are were doing the order to start up a revolution of better and highly qualified people, both mentally and physically. George Orwell further the warns that is the people, the modern era, we should very much aware they alert to injustice that the dictator intend to enforce on us. He entries on mentally be mentioned to nobody belongs to anyone, and therefore we should not allow any person to tell about the what do or what not to do, especially if he against our own will. But still, he insisted that we should not allow anybody to control and manipulate our mind, and we book ends with Winston saying that he loves a big brother. Conclusion: the dystopian science fiction is the interesting as the proposed a narrative game about a certain exercise to conjecture. Thus, the author of dystopian work could be perceived as a reckless scientist who predict and encourage a possible word as the form of warning. When uncapable further, the imagine this further does not happen. Dystopian narrative would anti-clip not or encourage but to the talent people. This is my words.
Okay, questions. Who is asking? First question.
Nidhi, do you find any dystopian movie?
This our time. I'm not sure this is a dystopian movie or not, but we are connected. The movie Robot is a dystopian movie.
Nidhi, what is the name of the dystopian society in 1984?